What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Boston Bruins and what they could be doing towards the NHL trade deadline. This is the third installment of the NHL trade deadline team previews, and of course, like I mentioned, the Bruins are next up. I will be doing this for all 31 NHL teams, so if you haven't seen the other videos, make sure to check them out. And if you're going back on this is, I can't predict the future. I say this in every video. I'm recording this on Tuesday, February 5th. So if something happens the second after this is posted, or if a big trade happens down the line and now you're just watching this, again, I can't predict the future, but we could see how close that we get, and hopefully that this will be a good preview. So I think the Bruins are one of the most interesting teams on this list of NHL teams, of course, in the entire league. Now, they're in a really good spot. And the Bruins technically right now are a team that could be very dangerous in the playoffs. We all know how good they can be. They've got a lot of Stanley Cup champions and guys with experience on that team. And right now they're actually working with a decent amount of cap space. Currently, if we're looking at cap friendly, they have $4.2 million in cap space. And if we look towards next season, which I like to do, the Bruins have some decent RFAs coming up in Danton Heinen. Let's look, Zdeno Chara is a UFA. That's a guy that they might want to keep, but he'll probably take a cheaper one-year deal as well. Charlie McAvoy, Brandon Carlo. So they've got some names coming up. But they do have $16 million, $16.5 million in cap space, which will probably bump up to somewhere around the $18 to $19 million range. So they're probably going to have more than enough money to work with their players and probably add as well. And some names might be moved out of there, we're not sure, because the Bruins are always an active team. So if we're going to look at the standings currently, the Boston Bruins are sitting in first in the wild card with 63 points. They're going to be a playoff team, we all know that. And their name has been, there's been names around the Bruins for quite some time now regarding trades. So Wayne Simmonds is the first guy I want to look at. And then we're going to look at Michael Furlan. So Wayne Simmonds in 53 games played has 24 points so far. And he's got a reasonable cap hit. His daily remaining cap hit is $1.3 million. And his accumulated daily cap hit is $2.671 million. Again, he would be cheap. He would fit under the Bruins cap right now, and he would be a rental. I'm not sure if the Bruins would be interested in signing him for a longer term, but they would be able to do that probably. It would all just depend on how they feel. But Simmonds really fits the mold for the Bruins. He's a feisty type of player. He can hit and he can score. He would be very valuable for the Bruins, and the Bruins do have quite a lot of their picks left, pretty much all of them. They don't have their third for this season, I believe, and they don't have their seventh. So those really don't matter if you're going for like a high-quality trade. You're probably looking at your first or second-round pick, depending on what else you give up in a Simmonds deal. So they'd be able to afford it, no doubt. And Simmonds, again, he fits the mold. He can play in their top six, and that's basically, or their top nine, really. The Bruins are a deep team. Anywhere they fit him, it would work. 6'2", 185, only 30 years old. He just fits, and I've said this before in other videos. The Bruins are probably looking for guys that just fit the mold of playing in the Boston Bruins system. And I think that it only makes sense for the Bruins to go after a guy like Simmonds because, again, he would just fit right in with their team, and I think it would really work. The next guy we've heard is Michael Furlan. And again, I'm not going to discuss literally every single name that's out there because the Bruins could be linked to way more players. But these are the two that I think would make the biggest impact because we have heard that the Bruins are really trying to get a scoring forward for their top six, or at least a couple for their top nine. So Furlan, 6'1", 217, 26 years old. He has 27 points in 43 games played, and we've heard that the Hurricanes might be willing to give up Furlan, and it's been around. But also, just to touch on Simmonds again real quick before somebody comments it, yes, at the time I'm recording this, I do know that the Flyers are on an 8-game winning streak, but do the Flyers really believe that they want to mortgage their future to add to this team? Or do they not want to try to at least get assets back for guys that are on expiring contracts? I think that they're going to want to keep their future around. You know, Carter Hart's looked really good. They're going to keep, obviously they're keeping him, there's no doubt. But I don't think that they want to be a buyer. I think they want to sell off some of their players and add to this impressive team to look even better next year. So that's the end of the Simmonds thing there. But Furlan, back to him. He's been in the trade rumors for quite some time now. It would only make sense again for him. His cap hit is just over $1 million remaining. Again, he would be a rental, and I think that this is another guy that just makes too much sense for the Boston Bruins. Now, I'm not sure, again, with Simmonds and Furlan, they're probably going to be looking for a first and maybe a roster player. I'm not sure if it could be a mixed in with a prospect if you swap out the roster player depending on how good the prospect is. But I would imagine both these guys are going to be expensive, depending on if Panarin hits the open market, which there's been some rumors regarding him lately. We're not going to be too sure on, you know, who might be the best cream of the crop players come the actual trade deadline. Ferland and Simmons could be two guys that are topping that list. They might be even topping that list right now. So we'll have to keep an eye out for both of those guys. I think they're the most interesting when it comes to the Bruins. But like I said, they have their picks. They have decent young players. They have probably guys in the minors that they can part with. And they have the cap space right now and even possibly next year to add any of these guys even in free agency. But regarding the trade deadline, I think the Bruins are in a good spot, and they're always a tough team to beat. So let me know what you guys think about the Boston Bruins going into the trade deadline. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. Leave your trade suggestions for the Boston Bruins down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.